Christians. This brother here has a good question. He says, does it matter what Bible you read? Like, what's the best version to read and maybe to understand? And let me answer that question for you. Because you have so many people that are always trying to tell you what Bible version you should read. And I'm going to tell you at the outset, the best version to read, the one that's easiest for you to understand. Now, I would say for a fact, do not read anything paraphrased or like the Living Translation. That's just garbage. But if you read the American Standard or the King James or the New King James or the NIV or the ESV or the RSV, any of these Bibles, you have to find the one that flows best with your mental structure, if I can say that, with your capacity to understand it. Because all of these are merely translations. They are not these translations are not the inspired writings themselves. The inspired writings themselves are the original ones written in the original language. So these are all translations. So if you read these translations and you refer to other biblical helps, whether they be commentaries, expositions, the Hebrew lexicon, the Greek lexicon, the Hebrew and Greek concordances, it will help you to establish a good understanding of the Word of God. But I would say that to read the Bible, you pick a version that's easiest for you to read. That makes the most sense. Now, for me, because of what I do, I study from the King James Version. I often read from the King James Version or the New King James Version when I go to church, because that's generally what people use these days. And sometimes I use the NIV for hearing when I'm reading or when I'm using the Bible audiobooks. And the reason why I like to use all the different versions is because everybody reads generally a different version. So I want to be able to be acquainted with what they're talking about when they quote a verse or something of that nature. And I like just being acquainted with all the various versions. My personal preference, if I was stuck on an island with one version of the Bible, it would be the King James Version. That's what I started reading, 40 years ago. And that, to me, is the closest to where the translation was the most accurate. That's my preference. But like I said, whatever one is easier for you, that's the one you should read. Be provoked and be persuaded.